guys, so welcome dito sa ating YouTube channel. So ito na yung lesson 10 or video 10 ng ating complex number or yung complex analysis. Okay, so ito yung third way para makuha natin yung derivative. Okay, na isang complex valued function. Okay, so if f of z is equal to u plus ib, okay, is a complex valued function of a complex variable c is equal to x plus iy such that u and b are continuous at z is equal to z naught, then partial of u with respect sa x of z naught is equal to partial of b with respect sa y of z naught is equal to partial of u with respect sa y of z naught is equal to negative partial of b with respect sa x of z naught. So, ano ibig sabihin ng partial na yun? Okay, so ito lang i-explain ko muna. So, si CRE, another way para makuha natin derivative. So, kung naalala mo sa complex function, may dalawang way. Kaya natin siya i-transform in standard form. So, x plus iy yung gagamitin. Pangalawa, kaya natin siya i-transform using polar form o yung r, theta. So, meaning dito sa Cauchy-Riemann equation, so pag tinransform ko siya in standard form, may way para ma-solve. Ganun din, pag naka-polar form tayo. So, unahin ko muna to. Doon muna tayo sa x plus iy. Okay, so explain ko muna ano yung ito yung mga gusto nyo mangyari. I-transform mo muna siya una dun sa x plus iy. Pag na-transform mo siya, i-check mo yung u and b. Kukunin mo yung u and b, yung u of x, y, saka b of x, y. I-check mo kung continuous siya dun sa ating z naught. Okay? So, kung continuous siya, go ka, lagay mo continuous siya. Next, after nun, kunin mo yung partial of u with respect sa x, with z naught. So, ano yun? Ano ibig sabihin nito? Ang gagawin ng partial, ang ibig sabihin lang nito para matandaan nyo na, of z naught. Okay, this is equivalent sa partial derivative with respect sa x ng u of x, y. Tapos, saka mo ipapalit si z naught. After ko ikunin yung derivative niya o yung partial derivative niya with respect sa x, saka ko ipapalit yung z naught. Okay, so ganun din si partial of u with respect sa y of z naught. This is partial derivative with respect sa y nung u of x, y. Okay, then at z naught. So, tandaan mo to. Partial derivative muna bago tayo apply ng z naught. I-partial derivative mo muna siya. Okay, so, and then lastly, pag nakita mo na yung partial of u with respect sa x ay equal sa partial of b with respect sa y, and yung word na yun, meaning dapat parehas nag-i-exist yan. Meaning equal dapat to, at the same time equal to. So, yung partial derivative of u with respect sa y ay equal sa negative partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Okay, so kunyari, naging equal yun. Therefore, nag-i-exist yung kanyang derivative. Ngayon, anong sagot sa derivative? Ang sagot sa derivative is f prime of z is equal to u of x, y, o meaning yung partial derivative of x plus ib partial derivative of b with respect sa x. So, partial derivative of u with respect sa x plus I partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Okay, so, sir, hindi nagagamit yung y. Pwede rin yun, kaso mas ito yung ginagamit ko. Okay, mas familiar. Okay, so proceed tayo sa example para mas maintindihan mo. Okay, so number 1 example. Okay, so find f prime of z is equal to z squared using CRE or the Cauchy-Riemann equation. Okay, so using Cauchy-Riemann equation. So since ginagamit natin sa x plus iy o yung standard form, ito yung gagamitin natin. So solution. So hindi to proving, solution. So kunin mo si f of x plus iy. Okay, so obviously that is x plus iy raised to 2. Okay, then pag in-expand natin, that is equivalent sa x squared. Kung naalala nyo, ito ay minus y squared plus I times 2 xy. Okay, so kung naalala nyo, ayun yung kanya. So, lagay lang natin si u of x, y. Si u of x, y ay equal kay x squared minus y squared. Si b of x, y ay equal kay 2xy. Okay, so ano sabi ni Cauchy-Riemann equation? Ang una mo i-check, continuous ba si u sa si b? Okay, so for number 1, note that u and b are continuous. Okay, so at any x naught. So bakit at any z naught, sorry. Okay, bakit? Wala namang over something, walang over variable. So ang obvious niyan So ito man ay quadratic, Since wala naman naka-over x yan or over y, so therefore continuous yan at any value x and y. Also, it should be continuous din yan. So at any value of x and y, continuous yan. May lalabas na value. Okay, kahit gawin mo 0 yan or 0 both, may sagot pa rin yan. Continuous pa rin siya. Yun lang naman yung pinapoint out doon. So kung continuous siya, go ka dun sa pangalawa. Ano sabi ng pangalawa? Balikan natin. Okay, so sabi, yung partial of u with respect sa x ay equal sa partial of b with respect sa y. Yun yung una. So, ang gagawin ko una, kukunin ko yung partial derivative ng u with respect sa x. So, hindi ko nalalagay yung partial derivative ng symbol, ha. So, una, partial of u with respect sa x. Okay, so wala mo ng z naught. Okay, so since with respect sa x, yung u, this is only equal sa 2x. Sir, bakit 2x? Derivative ng 2x squared, na x squared is 2x. Derivative ng y squared is 0. Kasi partial derivative with respect sa x tayo. Okay. Next, kunin natin si partial derivative of by. Okay, so kunin natin si by. Partial derivative of with respect sa y, sorry. Okay, so with respect sa y, so that is partial derivative ng 2xy with respect sa y is equal to constant dyan si 2x, therefore that is only 2x. Kasi si y mawawala. Tama. Okay, dun sa part na yun. Okay, next. Next na value natin is kunin natin yung partial derivative ng u with respect sa y, tapos negative partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Okay, so sa next natin, kunin natin yung partial derivative of u with respect sa y. Tama. So itong part ulit. So u of x comma y, partial derivative of u with respect sa y ay equal sa negative 2y. Okay, then partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Tama, and that is equal sa 2y. Okay, so ngayon, ano pinapa-observe niya? Ang sabi, observe mo daw, if si partial derivative of u with respect sa x equal ba kay partial derivative of b with respect sa y? Sir, 2x is equal to 2x. Yes po. Next, and yung word na and si partial derivative of u ba ay equal sa negative partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Sir, negative 2y is equal to negative of 2y. Tama po. Okay, since nangyari yun, equal yung kanyang partial derivative, tapos nangyaring condition na yan. Okay, so hindi ko checkan. So kunwari, since nangyari to, so this nangyari na. So therefore, by Cauchy-Riemann equation, or by the conclusion of Cauchy-Riemann equation, f prime of z, ang sabi, f prime of z is equal to partial derivative of u with respect sa x plus ib partial derivative plus I partial derivative of b with respect sa x. Okay, so kukunin ko to part na to. So this is 2x plus I, this is 2y. Okay, the next is factor out ko lang dito si 2. This is 2 times x plus iy. So what is x plus iy? X plus iy from the very beginning, that is z. So this is equal sa 2z. Okay, so this is f prime of z. So ito yung kanyang derivative. Okay, so tama naman. Ang derivative kasi ni z squared is 2z. So napansin mo, derivative niya is 2z using Cauchy-Riemann equation. So huwag ka malilito doon sa partial derivative na binabanggit ko, ha. So pag sinabi kong partial derivative with respect sa x yung iti-treat ko as variable. Yung mga y, constant siya. So kung nahiwalay siya sa x, automatic siya ay 0. Kung nakadikit sa x, automatic siya ay parang constant lang. Okay, na parang coefficient lang. Ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay, so let's have example number 2. So ito medyo mahirap, medyo tricky. Well, kaya no, ano derivative ng e raised to z? E raised to z. So dapat babalik lang tayo sa sagot. Ganun kasimple yan. Okay, so una, anong gagawin ulit? Sir, evaluate mo yung z. So solution. So f of x plus iy is equal to e raised to x plus iy. Okay, then naalala nyo yung pag-ibiyakin ko siya. So this is e raised to x times e raised to iy. So naalala mo yung part na yan. Next is ito I by nakalimutan ko yun, Euler Formula. Tama? So by Euler Formula, this is e raised to x multiplied by cosine y plus I sin y. So by Euler's formula. Okay, next is multiply natin further si e raised to x. So this is e raised to x cosine y plus I times e raised to x sine y. Okay, so ang obvious, c of x comma y is equal to e raised to x cosine y. Si b of x comma y ay equal sa e raised to x sin y. Okay, so ngayon, observe natin. Note, siya ba ay continuous? So, at any value of x and y, continuous yan. Kasi si cosine y, continuous yan sa real number. Tama? So, at any real number lagay mo dyan, hindi yan mag-undefined. Similar kay sin y. So, any real number ilagay ko dyan, mag-exist yan. E raised to any real number, mag-exist yan. Okay, so, meaning, u and x, note that u and b are continuous. Okay, so next is kunin natin yung partial derivative ng u with respect sa x, partial derivative ng u with respect sa y, then partial derivative of b with respect sa x and y. So ganun na kasimple. Tapos saka natin verify yung kanyang relation. So una, partial derivative of u with respect sa x is equal to, so e raised to x na yung differentiate, so copy lang siya. So this is only e raised to x cosine y. Tama. Partial derivative of u with respect sa y naman is just, derivative ng cosine? That is negative. So this is negative e raised to x then sine y. Tama, kasi partial derivative ng cosine is negative sine. Okay, next is partial derivative of b with respect tayo sa y muna. So that is, mangyari, pag dinerivative ko to with respect sa y, derivative ng sine y is cosine. Then positive. That is e raised to x cosine y. Okay, next, partial derivative of b with respect sa x naman. Okay, so that is, copy lang, e raised to x sine y. Okay, note, check natin. So, note that si u of x sa partial derivative of u equal kay partial derivative of b. Partial derivative of b with respect sa y. Okay, so that is equal, and okay, so ulit yung partial derivative of u with respect sa x is e raised to x cosine y. Equal siya sa partial derivative ng b with respect sa y, which is e raised to x cosine y din. And note, i-verify ulit natin to. Si partial derivative of u with respect sa y ay equal sa negative nito, kasi negative siya. Di ba nga sabi sa ating condition, dapat negative partial derivative of b with respect sa y. So, kitang-kita naman. So, kung multiply mo to sa negative, equal siya doon. Okay, so since satisfy yun by CRE, okay, so we can use yung relation ng CRE. So, by CRE o yung condition niya, o yung conclusion, so CRE, f prime of z is equal to partial derivative of u with respect to x, which is e raised to x cosine y plus I times partial derivative of b with respect to x, e raised to x sine y. Okay, next, factor out that si e raised to x. This is e raised to x times cosine y plus I sine y. Then by Euler's formula, this is e raised to x then e raised to iy. Then lastly, this is equal sa e raised to x plus iy, which is equal sa e raised to z. So therefore, ito yung kanyang derivative. So kung napansin nyo, ang derivative ng e raised to z is e raised to z. Bumalik lang din. Okay, using CRE. Okay, so ganun lang kasimple pagkuha na ito using yung CRE. Tandaan na, una, express mo x plus iy. After nun, kunin mo u of x comma y, u, partial derivative of u with respect sa x. So, partial derivative of u with respect sa y, partial derivative of b with respect sa x and y also. Then, kailangan check mo rin ang continuous. After nun, saka mo pwede gamitin yung conclusion ng Cauchy-Riemann equation. Okay, so proceed tayo sa next example. Tuloy-tuloy ko na to para hindi na ako mawala. So, lagay ko na dito. So, this is equal dyan. So, for number 3, so find f prime of z for f of z is equal to sin z using CRE. Okay, so sabi ko nga kanina, using Cartesian lemma, hindi ko pa sure o hindi ko pa na-discover until now paano siya gawin using Cartesian lemma. Kasi parang hirap maglabas ng z minus z naught dyan. Pero using CRE, I think possible siya. Okay, so meron lang ako konting gagawin ng mga Euler's identity para lang ma-verify natin kung ano yung exact value niya. Okay, so for the meantime, solve natin to. So, solution. Okay, so f of x plus iy, this is equivalent sa sine of x plus iy. Okay, then naalala mo si sin, cos, cosine. Okay, so sin x plus iy. So this is equivalent sa sin x cosine iy plus cosine x sin iy. Yan. Ito yung problema. Ano yung cosine iy saka sin iy? So using Euler's identity, kung naalala mo, so check lang natin. Si cosine iy using Euler's identity ay equivalent sa e raised to I times I y plus e raised to negative I times I y all over 2. Okay, so paano yun? I theta. Kasi yun yung theta, yung iy. Next, multiply natin further. This is equivalent sa e raised to negative y. Okay, then this is plus e raised to positive y over 2. Okay, so note na ito yung tinatawag natin na Cauchy. So next topic kasi natin is about trigonometric na. So ito yung Cauchy of y. Okay, so for the meantime, sunod ka muna na yan yung equivalent niya, cosine. So cosine iy is equal to cos y. So hyperbolic cosine of y. Next naman is si ating sinh. Okay, o si sine. So sin iy is equivalent to e raised to I times iy minus e raised to negative I times iy all over 2i. Okay, so I think similar yung mangyayari dyan or not parang ang mangyayari is lalabas siya tayo I. So dito equivalent to sa e raised to negative y then negative e raised to negative positive. Ito yung positive. Ito ay magiging positive. Okay, all over 2i. Okay, next, magmo-multiply ako dyan ng I over I para malabas ko yung I kasi gusto ko kailangan maging to siya. So, meaning, i-multiply ko dito is I over I. Okay, so meaning magkakaroon ng I doon. So, ilalabas ko yung I na yun. So, this is equivalent sa tapos ang mangyari, di ba? 2i times I is negative 2. So, negative 2 magiging positive, ito magiging negative. So, labas ko lang ha. Meron ditong I sa labas. Tapos, ito yung mangyari. Ito magiging negative. So, ito positive. E raised to y minus e raised to negative iy over 2. So, this is equivalent sa I cos of y. So, meaning, yung sin iy is equal to I cos of y. Okay, so ganun siya. Okay, equivalent. So, meaning, proceed tayo dito. So, this is equivalent sa sin x cos of y plus, meron ng I dito, I times cosine x and cos of y. Okay, so meron tayong u of x, y saka ib of x, y. So, ito na lang, no? So, ito yung u of x, y. Ito yung b of x, y. Okay, so note that these are all continuous then for any values of x. So note that u and b are continuous. Okay, so next is kunin natin yung partial of u with respect sa x. So una, partial of u with respect sa x is derivative ng sine is cosine lang. So that is cosine x cos y. Okay, then partial of u with respect sa y. So, ang derivative ng cosine o ng cos is sine or sinh. Okay, so meaning walang negative. So, this is only equal sa sine x sinh y or sine y. Next, ito yung partial derivative of b with respect sa x is ito yun. So, derivative ng cosine is negative. So, this is negative cosine. Sine. Sorry, this is sine x. Then cos. Then cos y. Okay, then sunod is ang derivative ni b with respect sa y is derivative ng by is, what do you think this? This is cosine, this sinh, this is cosine x, then sinh ng y. Okay, so check ko lang dito kung tama yung ini-evaluate ko na derivative. Check ko lang din ha. So, ang nangyari, wait, hanapin ko yung aking copy ng derivative niyan. Baka nagkamali si sir. Okay, so balik lang ako ha. So tama tayo sa sin x cos y, then dito is cos sin y. Okay, so I think may mali akong nagawa sa isa. So in that case, wait ha. Okay, tama. Na-realize ko na yung mali natin. So ito pala. Tingnan to ha. E raised to negative y plus e raised to y over 2 is cos. Ito minus. Kasi nga minus. So dapat ito sinh. So napansin ko kasi hindi nag-equal yung derivative eh. Okay, so sorry, dapat sinh of y. So meaning sinh of y to. So this is sinh of y. So since sinh of y yan, so ulitin ko lang, doon tayo sa u. Tama tayo sa u. Okay, sa partial derivative of u with respect sa x, sa partial derivative of u with respect sa y. Ngayon, pagdating sa partial derivative of b with respect sa x, mali tayo. Okay, so dapat ito sin x then sinh of y. Okay, para mag-equal doon. Then dito, ang mangyari, ang magagalaw, partial derivative with respect sa y, so yung sinh magiging cos. Ito ay magiging cos y. O ngayon, check na natin. Equal ba si partial of u kay partial of u with respect sa x sa partial of b with respect sa y? Check natin. Partial of u is equal to partial of b with respect to y ba? Cos x, cosine x, cos y, cosine x, cos y. Okay. And next, partial of u with respect to y equal ba sa negative partial of b with respect sa x? Okay, so check natin ulit. So in this case, sabi ko dapat ito ay ganyan, positive to. Sin x, sin y. Okay, so partial of u. Next dito is negative. Negative times negative, positive. So that is equal. Pansinin nyo, sin x, sin y. Negative of negative sin x, sin y is positive. Okay, so therefore, okay to. Equal sila. So meaning, pwede natin kunin yung kanyang derivative. So f prime of c, o by CRE. So by CRE, f prime of z ay equal sa u of, partial of u with respect sa x is sin x, cosine x, partial of u with respect sa x pala. Nalilito na ako sa sulat ni sir. Cosine x, cos y. Okay, then partial of u with respect sa x, so minus sin x, sin y. Okay, then balik lang natin na identity. Ano yung cos y? Cos y is iy. Ano yung sin y? Sin y is I sin y, I sin y. Sorry, may I nga to. Sorry, I sin y. I sin y is sin iy. Okay, so this is equivalent sa cosine x, cosine iy minus sin x. Then ito ay sin iy. Next, balik natin sa identity. So ito equivalent lang sa cosine of x plus iy. So yung cosine kasi ng a plus b is cos minus sin. Kasi yung sagot. So therefore, this is equivalent sa cosine z, which is yung derivative nun. So meaning nakuha ko siya. So eto, huwag nyo muna masyadong pansinin itong mga to. Kasi sa trigonometric pa talaga usually lalabas. Dinerive ko lang for the meantime, for convenient. Kasi nasama ko sa tanong. So ayoko naman gawin na parang yung tulad ng karaan sa video na hindi ko sinolve. Kumbaga hinayaan ko na lang. So ayoko nang ganun. So ayun, sinolve ko siya. So ito yung kanyang derivative. So napatunayan ko naman yung derivative ng sin C is cosine C using CRE. Okay? So wag na kayo malilito sa partial derivative. Tandaan nyo ha, wag kang malilito sa partial derivative. Ngayon, ano yung ginagawa natin? Ginagamit natin yung CRE using C x plus IY. Okay? Ito ngayon yung i-apply natin na bago. Sir, what if po ang ginagamit mo naman is r comma theta. Okay, so meaning polar form or yung ating cis theta, yung r cis theta. So ganun ulit, ang gagawin lang natin, i-convert naman natin siya sa ganung form, yung r cis theta. So meaning papalitan natin siya sa i-evaluate natin f of r cis theta. Okay? So where yung r is modulus of z, then yung theta is yung ating argument of z. Next, ganun ulit, suppose that u and b are continuous at any given r and theta. So i-check mo ulit kung continuous siya dun. Then afterwards, kukunin mo to. R times the partial derivative of u with respect sa r, equal ba dapat siya sa partial derivative of b with respect sa theta? Next, partial derivative of u with respect sa theta, equal dapat siya sa negative r partial derivative of b with respect sa r. Ganun kasi. Then lastly, pag nag-satisfy yun, pwede mong gamitin to. Yung f prime of z naught is equal to e raised to I theta times partial of u with respect sa r plus I partial of b with respect sa r. Okay, so ngayon check natin to. Consider yung example natin. So sabi, consider the function f of z is equal to 1 over c where z is not equal to 0. So kung naaalala nyo, pag in-evaluate natin siya. So actually ginawa ko to last time. So yung f of r cis theta ay equivalent sa 1 over r, kung naaalala nyo, this cosine theta minus I sin theta. Okay, so I think sa video number 7. Okay, so next is simplify further. This is 1 over r cosine theta plus I times negative 1 over r sin theta. So pinakita ko na yung u of r comma theta. So yung u of r comma theta is equivalent sa 1 over r cosine theta. Yung b of r comma theta ay equivalent sa negative 1 over r sin theta. Okay, so note na continuation for any value of r. Okay, so sabi nga yung r is modulus. So kung yung z is non-zero, meaning yung modulus nag-exist, hindi zero yan. Sabi nga z is non-zero, therefore yung modulus laging hindi zero. So therefore yung r hindi yan magsi-zero, never. Okay, so therefore continuous siya. So u and b are continuous at any r and theta. Okay, so provided na si r hindi is equal to 0, kasi sabi na yun basta kung sa condition na whenever z is not equal to 0, yung r is not equal to 0, greater than or equal to 0 lagi yan. Greater than 0 lagi yan. Okay, so ngayon i-check natin si u of r. So hindi ko kunin yung r times partial of u with respect to r, so i-multiply ko na lang afterwards. So kunin ko lang. So partial of, lagay ko na lang ba, sorry, r times partial of r, partial of u with respect to r. So this is equivalent sa r, then kunin ko to, differentiate natin with respect sa r. So derivative ng 1 over r is negative 1 over r squared. Okay, so this is negative 1 over r squared, then cosine theta. Okay, so therefore this is equivalent sa negative 1 over r cosine theta. Okay, next kunin ko naman yung partial of u with respect sa partial of u with respect sa theta, kasi kailangan din yun. So partial of u with respect sa theta is equivalent sa yung cosine, derivative ng cosine is sine, negative sine. So this is negative 1 over r sine theta. Next, kunin natin yung partial of b with respect sa theta. Okay, so partial of b with respect sa theta is equivalent to ito yun. So with respect sa theta, derivative ng sine is cosine, so walang negative na mangyari. So this is negative 1 over r sine, cosine theta. Okay, next is partial of negative partial of r times br. So this is negative r, then partial derivative of b with respect sa r. So negative partial derivative na to, yung negative 1 over r magiging positive 1 over r squared. So lagay ko lang yung negative r multiplied by positive 1 over r squared then sine theta. And this is equivalent sa negative 1 over r kasi r over r squared then sine theta. Okay, ngayon, pansinin natin. Si RU ba? Si R times partial derivative of u with respect sa r, ito yon, negative 1 over r cosine, equal ba kay, ano ba yung tanong? Partial of u with respect sa theta. Yes sir, equal po sila. Kita naman doon. So this is equal sa partial of b with respect sa theta. And si partial of u with respect sa theta, which is negative 1 over r sin theta, equal ba dito sa negative r partial of b with respect sa r? Okay, so check ha. Negative 1 over r sin theta, equal sila. So this is partial of u with respect sa theta is equal sa negative r partial of b with respect sa r. Okay, so therefore by Cauchy-Riemann equation ulit. Okay, so by CRE, we can use that f prime of z is equal to f prime of z naught is e raised to negative I theta. Tama. Then UR, so partial of u with respect to r is simply, tanggalin ko lang to, partial of u with respect to r is negative 1 over r squared cosine theta. So negative 1 over r squared yan, then cosine theta plus I partial of b with respect to r, ito yun, 1 over r squared sine theta. So that is 1 over r squared sine theta. Okay, so factor out ko lang yung negative. Okay, so factor out ko lang yung negative, tapos yung negative 1 over r squared actually. So this is equivalent sa negative 1 over r squared e raised to negative I theta multiplied by, magiging positive to, magiging cosine theta minus I sine theta. Tama. So next, ano napapansin mo dito sa part na to? Sir, nilabas mo yung negative. So what is cosine theta minus I sine theta? So isipin na, what is cosine theta minus I sine theta? Pwede ko siyang gawin ganito. Ito lang ha, this is negative 1 over r squared e raised to negative I theta. Pwede kong gawin ganito, cosine of negative theta plus I sine of negative theta. So para lang makuha kay Euler's identity niya o Euler's formula. So dito lagay ko lang, by Euler's formula, this is negative 1 over r squared e raised to negative I theta. Yung Euler identity, Euler formula nito is e raised to negative I theta rin. Similar. Okay? So meaning, ano ba dapat values niyan? So dapat ang derivative nito is negative 1 over e raised to z. Tama, dapat ganun kasi yung derivative nito eh. So this is equivalent sa negative 1 over r squared e raised to negative 2I theta. Tama, tapos kung napapansin mo, ito ay equivalent sa negative 1 over r squared kasi ito ay cosine negative 2 theta plus I sine negative 2 theta. Okay, then lastly, simplify ko lang further. Ang mangyayari dyan, so kung napansin nyo, papasok ko yung negative. Okay, para mag positive. Or check ko lang, wait. Sorry, ihang ko lang yung negative sa labas na yan. Ihang ko lang yung negative. Ngayon, anong nangyari? Meron siyang 1 over r squared. Okay, so ganito nangyari ha. Magiging 1 over r squared cosine 2 theta. Okay, then minus I sine 2 theta. Sir, ba't nawala yung negative? In-apply ko lang identity. Cosine negative is cosine theta. Sine negative theta is negative sine theta. Okay, ngayon, ito ay equivalent sa, saan equivalent to? Itong part na to, equivalent to sa yung parang z squared, kung naalala mo. Parang siya yung 1 over z squared. So, kunyari, ito, 1 over z, na-raise ko sa 2. Okay, so, di ba ang sabi ko, di ba pag ni-raise natin siya sa 2, ang mangyayari, magiging 1 over r squared yun, tapos yung cosine, yung theta sa loob, magiging 2 theta, tapos minus I sine 2 theta. Okay, dito yun eh, by De Moivre's theorem. Ang sabi ng De Moivre's theorem, yung ating modulus i-raise ko sa 2, tapos yung theta sa loob, i-multiply ko sa 2. Tama? So, ayun nangyari. So, therefore, ito ay 1 over z squared. So this is equivalent sa negative 1 over z squared. And this is the answer. Okay? So, ang magiging tedious dito or magiging mahirap na part dito is yung pagbalik. Okay? So, dapat kabisado mo yung identity, kailan siya nagpapalit-palit, tapos yung sign. Ang goal mo kasi dapat, alam mo yung totoong derivative na ito, tapos alam mo siya ibalik using yung mga Euler's identity or Euler's formula. So, dito, bantayan mo maigi yan, yung mga identity niyan, kasi very useful talaga yan dito. Okay? So, let's have the last example para dito, para matapos na tong video na to. Okay, so let's have last example. So, determine f prime of z is equal to square root of r e raised to I theta over 2. So, where r is greater than 0 and theta is greater than alpha, less than alpha plus 2 pi. Okay, so huwag masyadong pansinin yung condition na yan. Basta alam mo, r is 0 tapos yung theta is specific. Parang 0 to 2 pi siya. So, parang periodic siya. Okay, so ngayon, ang problema, hindi natin talaga alam yung original na function. Tama? Hindi natin alam original. So, hindi natin alam kung paano natin ibabalik sa derivative. Kanina kasi yung 1 over z, alam mo yung derivative. That is negative 1 over z squared. Kaya inaabangan natin na dapat mag negative 1 over z squared sa uli. Okay, dito, hindi. Okay, so ngayon, ang gawin ko muna, kunin natin si f of z niya, yung totoong itsura niya. F of z is equal to square root of r e raised to I theta over 2. Arrange ko lang ha. So, this is r raised to 1 half multiplied by cosine theta over 2 plus I sin theta over 2. So, kung napapansin mo using De Moivre's theorem, parang ito yan. This is r comma theta raised to 1 half, which is square root of z. Tama? So, naka-raise siya sa 1 half. Yun pala yung ibig sabihin niya. So, ngayon, ibig sabihin, ano ba derivative na ito? Alam natin na ang derivative na ito is simply 1 over 2 square root of z. Okay, so, ang inaabangan natin sagot, it's either may negative siya. So, possible ang inaabangan natin sagot is 1 over 2 r. Okay, so, expected natin sagot is dapat 1 over something 2. Medyo mahirap. Hindi ko maisip paano gagawin. Okay, so mamaya na. Check natin. So, gagawa akong paraan para mapuntahan. Hindi ko kasi masyadong maisip kung paano gagawin dito. Okay, so basta ang form niya, alam natin square root of z. So, ang final answer dapat is 1 over 2 square root of z. Okay, so in terms of derivative. Tama. So, ngayon, ang gawin natin muna is expand natin. So, f prime of z. So, yung f of z natin, sorry. F of z natin, gamitin ko na to. That is r raised to 1 half cosine theta over 2 plus I multiplied by r raised to 1 half tapos sin pi over 2. Okay, so meaning yung u of r comma theta natin, yung u of r comma theta is r raised to 1 half cosine theta over 2. Yung b of r comma theta is equal sa r raised to 1 half sin theta over 2. Okay, so ngayon, ang goal natin, check natin. So, differentiable or continuous ba siya at any point r and theta? So, in case dito, continuous siya eh. Kasi nilimit lang yung number. So, r is greater than 0. Tapos yung theta in between dyan. So, obviously, continuous siya based pa lang sa condition. Okay, so note that u and r, u and b are continuous at any r and theta. Okay, so ngayon, ano ulit kukunin natin kanina? Sir, kinuha mo una r times partial derivative of u with respect sa r. Tama? Unang kinuha? R times partial derivative of u with respect sa r. So, unang kukunin ko yung r times partial derivative of u with respect sa r. So, meaning, yung r lang yung gagalaw dito. So, ang derivative niyan is, this is r multiplied by, bababa yung 1 half. Tama? Then, this is r raised to negative 1 half. Then, cosine theta over 2. Okay, next. R plus r raised to 1 times r raised to negative 1 half is r raised to 1 half. Tama? So, this is only equivalent sa 1 half r raised to 1 half cosine theta over 2. Ayan ang sagot dyan. Next is kukunin natin si partial of u with respect sa theta. So, partial of u with respect sa theta is, yung cosine yung isusolve natin. So, derivative of cosine is negative, pero may over to dyan. So, meaning lalabas yung negative 1/2. So, meaning this is negative 1/2. Tapos r raised to 1/2. Tapos ito is sine theta over 2. Ulitin ko lang ha, ang derivative kasi ng cosine theta over 2 is negative 1/2 sine theta. Kaya andun yung negative 1/2. Okay, next is kunin natin si partial of b with respect sa theta. So next, partial of b with respect sa theta is equivalent sa sine theta over 2. Ang derivative niya is equal sa cosine o 1/2 cosine theta over 2. So this is 1/2 r raised to 1/2 cosine theta over 2. Okay, so kung napapansin mo, parang equal na itong dalawa, no? Kasi yun yung goal natin eh. Next is, kunin natin si negative r partial of b with respect to r. So, naman si negative r partial of b with respect to r. So, this is negative r multiplied by, i-differentiate natin siya with respect sa r, no? So, that is 1/2 r raised to negative 1/2, then sine theta over 2. Then, ganun ulit, r raised to 1, then r raised to negative 1/2 is r raised to 1/2. Pero ito nga lang ay merong negative. So, this is negative 1/2 r raised to 1 over 2, then sine theta over 2. Okay, so tanda mo, huwag kang malilito sa sinasabi kong derivative or partial derivative niya. Okay, ngayon, observe na natin yung mga dapat i-observe. Okay, so note that partial of r times partial of u with respect to r ay equal dito. Tama naman, no? Equal. Pares na parehas. So, this is r times partial of u with respect to r ay equal sa partial of b with respect sa theta. And, si partial of u, tama, si partial of u with respect sa theta ay equivalent sa negative nito. Itong part na to. Okay, equivalent sila. Okay, so this is negative r partial b with respect sa r. Negative r partial b with respect sa r. Tama? Okay, so meaning, equal siya. So, by CRE, okay, so by CRE, okay, so anong gagawin natin by CRE? By CRE, this is f prime of c is equivalent sa e raised to negative I theta multiplied by partial of u with respect sa r. So, ito lang sa loob. Basta partial of u with respect sa r lang. So, that is 1/2 r raised to negative 1/2 cosine theta over 2 plus I partial of b with respect sa r, ito lang yun, nasa loob. So that is 1/2, so this is 1/2 r raised to negative 1/2 then sine theta over 2. Okay, next, ilalabas ko lang yung 1/2 r raised to negative 1/2. Okay, kasi yun yung kailangan. So this is equivalent sa 1/2 r e 1/2 r e 1/2 r raised to negative 1/2, so nakakalito yung term, then multiplied by e raised to negative I theta, then may natira sa loob na cosine theta over 2 plus I sine theta over 2. So by Euler's identity, so obvious na siya ay parang pi theta over 2, I theta over 2. Tama. So this is equivalent sa 1/2 r e raised to negative 1/2 e raised to negative I theta plus I theta over 2. Okay, so ito mag-add to. Okay, so parang negative 1 plus 1/2 ang dating. So negative 1 plus 1/2 is negative 1/2. Tama ba? Negative 1 plus 1/2 is negative 1/2. So this is equivalent sa 1/2 r, okay, r e raised to negative 1/2 then e raised to negative I pi theta over 2. Okay, so parang obvious pag binalik ko lang, lagay ko lang dito ha, ito yung 1/2, then ilalagay ko dito yung 1 over r raised to 1/2, then lagay ko dito si cosine. Anong cosine to? Cosine ng negative theta over 2 plus I sine ng negative theta over 2. Okay, then balik ko lang, this is 1/2, Then this is 1 over r raised to 1 half. Then ito ay cosine magiging positive. Then minus I sine magiging theta over 2. Okay? So ang obvious na itong part na to, ito ay parang 1 over square root of z. So ito yung part na 1 over square root of z. Okay, or parang siya yung equivalent, siya yung parang 1 over square root of z or z raised to negative 1 half. So try mo yun ibalik dyan and yung kakalabasan yan. Okay, so therefore this is equivalent sa 1 over 2 square root of z, which is yung kanyang derivative. Okay, so therefore using CRE nakuha ko siya. Okay, so ito nga rin na tandaan yung mga identities na yung pabalik-balik. Ito yung medyo nagpapalito dyan, yung mga I theta, yung Euler's Formula. Tandaan si Euler's Formula ha. Then yung mga dating identities na ginamit ni sir. So that's all for this video. So sana make sure na intindihan mo to kasi ang ating problem set is all about derivative. So from definition of derivative to caratedori lemma until CRE. Then probably midterm exam or hindi pa next week. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.